How's it going, everyone? It's Sam. Today I'm talking with Conor Kenny again about the market. I'm giving more my thoughts on the market as opposed to his thoughts on the market in today's video. If you want to check him out, there's a link to his channel underneath the video. Also, there are links underneath the video to MargeX and to CoinW. Both are running big airdrop campaigns where you can get up to thousands and thousands of free dollars worth of meme coins. Meme coins that are pretty small. All you have to do is use the link underneath the video. If you already have an account, just hit the participate now or join now button. And if you don't have an account, you can just sign up with that link underneath the video. Definitely check those out.
Sam, welcome back to the channel, man. Thanks for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
So I noticed on your channel just now that you have a video saying massive bombshell, something about Mt. Gox investors left speechless. So I want to hear directly from you what is going on. And I also want to get your views on the market right now because I'm feeling pretty good today. Maybe I'm just like someone who's been like beaten so hard, I've been beaten so senseless that now I have like a couple of minutes break from being beaten that I feel great again. So I want to get your views on the market.
Yeah, it's like that one chart where you go straight down and then you just have a little bounce and then everyone's like all pumped up. Yeah, I think it's important to zoom out. You know, I still have comments. People talk about how I don't care who's buying because we only lose value every day, but they're still up like 100% on the year. So yeah, we're still up a good amount. That video was a few days ago and everything changes so quickly in crypto. But I believe what I was talking about there was a tweet from Marty Party that was explaining Mt. Gox and what's happening with the debts being repaid. Now, what it sounds like right now, and it's hard to confirm this because I believe Mt. Gox is based in Japan and I don't know Japanese law, but what he was saying was basically based on the law there, the people that are getting their Bitcoin back are not getting the same amount of Bitcoin. They're getting the dollar value of the Bitcoin when it went bankrupt. When Mt. Gox went bankrupt, which was, I think Bitcoin was around $450 at that point. So the people that are getting that Bitcoin are getting 0.008 Bitcoin for every Bitcoin that they lost. So it's worth about the same, but they're getting less than 1% of the true value of the Bitcoin that they should have. So that's what I was talking about. Now, since then, I haven't seen many other sources say the same thing, but also it's just kind of confusing. It's hard to tell what's actually happening. There's not really good communication. And yeah, I said that in the video too. It's hard to tell exactly what's going to happen, but there may be a lot less Bitcoin hitting the markets. That might go to lawyers, the company, regulators. And then if that's the case, basically if that other 99% of the Bitcoin are going other places, well, that kind of shifts the selling pressure. Like whether the government sells it now or 5 years from now, who knows? Whether the lawyers sell it now or 5 years from now, who knows? But in more entities and more different hands, it will shift some of the spending of the Bitcoin. So yeah, it's kind of a weird situation, but that seemed like it was part of the reason that we started to dump earlier this week. Because whenever we have Mt. Gox news that people are going to get paid out, then the market shifts down and then there are liquidations. As you know, too, we have had a bounce off that $59,000 mark or 58.3, I think that we hit. It is pretty interesting though, because whenever we get down to those numbers, we are like oversold on the daily. We're at the same RSI on the daily that we saw back in September of 2023, which was, I think, when Bitcoin was around $30,000. Right now, if you go to CoinMarketCap, the Fear and Greed Index is at neutral, but it's close to fear. So, I mean, it does seem like a massive reset where we were so overheated going from 38K to 74K, hitting new all-time highs within a month or two. There's nothing but good news. Now, I still think there's a lot of good news in the market. We have seen a massive political change. We've seen maybe not the same inflows that we were seeing from the ETFs, but we have seen the SEC also change with the coming Ethereum ETF. We know that rate cuts are most likely going to happen this year, maybe one rate cut, maybe two. But it seems like overall the market's in a good place. It's just that we've been stagnant for a while.
Yeah, so I mean, I would have definitely been left speechless if I thought I was getting all of that Bitcoin and then all of a sudden these greedy government bastards, for lack of a better term, may very well be taking all of that. Now, I actually did report on that as well. So I think there's a couple of ideas around it that maybe it means there's going to be more selling, because maybe the government just go, and they dump it all. If they're going to get their grubby mitts on it, then they just dump it all on the market and get the cash value while Bitcoin's still high. But me personally, honestly, I think that the news of Mt. Gox and the news of anything that's really bearish, even though that's a lot of Bitcoin, anything that's really that bearish, normally the news is worse for the market than the actual event itself. They're not going to sell 100% of the Bitcoin on the market in one order. Just like we saw with what I think it's 250,000 Bitcoin that's been sold by Grayscale, of people cashing out and then, you know, rebuying or whatever it is. But that 250,000, I think it's even more now, got eaten up because it happened over time. You know, the price of Bitcoin, what, tripled or doubled since we got that news. So 250,000 was dumped, but the price still doubled. Now the price may very well have tripled or whatever, right? Whatever value it may have done without that, but it wasn't actually that bad. Like it created fun in the market, but it wasn't that bad. So on this note, I guess we're sitting here. I personally, I got my order in for one of my trades at 59.6. I was very happy with that. Not as big, always could have been bigger, but I personally bought Bitcoin, or I was buying Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, all the way, you know, from when we started to get shaky, you know, the mid or the low 60s, and then all the way down on that really scary day. And then I bought some of the altcoins that I'm pretty bullish on. If you guys want to know what those altcoins are, you can come join the Patreon. The link's in the description. But for you personally, were you buying? Were you selling? What's your plan now? I know we spoke about the other day. You were saying that, you know, a month from now was your plan to start selling. Has that changed or what's going on?
Yeah, so I did put on a long trade right around 60,000. But besides that, I haven't really done much. Like over the last couple months, there have been some smaller positions, but generally I'm just waiting at this point. Like I scaled into crypto very heavily during the bear market. I did a lot of work for crypto. Like instead of getting paid in money or in fiat, I just accepted Bitcoin from a lot of different companies. So I scaled in very heavily, and now I'm pretty much just waiting. I'm just waiting for the bull market to continue, and then eventually I'll scale out. Now, some people say never sell your Bitcoin, and I get that. But as I've said before, I'm at a pretty pivotal point where I do want to take some profits because it can be life-changing money for me. And then altcoins, it's so hard to tell where altcoins are going. I mean, the fact is, even some of the top 10 altcoins went down 95+% during the bear market. So I don't really want to hold on to an asset that is one of the best in the asset class for a very long time if it's going to fall 95%, or it's even like very likely that it falls that much. So I'll probably scale out of almost all my altcoins, keep some Bitcoin. It does, like I set out this plan, and plans are great, but what is the quote? Man plans, God laughs. Like it does depend on the market. So I'm not going to sit here. If Bitcoin falls back down to 30, I'm not going to dump and start dumping my Bitcoin. So it will be dependent on the market a bit, but that is the plan right now. And I know that you kind of have to stick to the plan. So if we move back up towards all-time highs, I'll probably start scaling out. I know some people will say that I'm crazy, but I think it is important to always be on the wrong side of the masses in crypto, because that shows that you're going against the grain and you're probably not just going with the market sentiment. You usually have to buy when people say it's stupid to buy and sell when people say it's stupid to sell. So well, that's kind of the plan now.
As we've discussed, when you ask me my plan, like that's kind of why I can never really give a definitive answer as to why or when exactly I'm going to be selling, because the fact of the matter is it changes daily. We don't know. You know, I will assess the market when I feel like it's in euphoria. The easiest way to assess the market, look at the greed and fear index, like you checked earlier. Like we're in fear on the greed and fear index that I look at, and we're in neutral on the coin market cap. And then just to touch on what you said about the altcoins, Bitcoin dropped 70% in the bear market. So it's like, if you can time really well, you know, I'm all for Bitcoin changing the world, and I get that. I'm for that, but I'm also here to change my own life and to make, you know, financial freedom and to build that life. And really, in this current scenario, if you're watching this video, right, and you plan for this bull run, right, now in the next, let's say 1 to 2 years, we are not in a situation where your cryptocurrency can pay for your lifestyle. Like if you live in maybe somewhere like Dubai, yes, you can live, you can buy cars, you can buy houses, yachts, whatever you want, but that's a very rare and small niche, right? If you actually want crypto to change your life in the very immediate short term, right, you're gonna have to sell. That's just the, you know, you're gonna have to sell it. Now, if you're just buying Bitcoin and you plan to hold it for the next 20 years, I will hold Bitcoin for the next 20 years, just not all of it, right?
Yeah.
But that's how I look at it. Anyway, Sam, just before we finish up, do you reckon short term now for this weekend, let's say, do you reckon we're gonna continue up from here? Is it gonna be a slow climb to Everest, the Everest of the old all-time high, or do you reckon we're just gonna be boring and sit around here for the next couple of months?
Yeah, so I want to hit on that. One last thought on that. When you said that you're going to sell some of your Bitcoin, I think it is important to remember that crypto is different than a lot of the other assets. Like I want to say this the right way, but it's a little bit more culty. Like people feel very strongly. It's like a religion if you sell the asset. But like if I came on here and said that I was selling a rental property because it was overvalued, no one would be like yelling at me that the rent and or that's going to continue to appreciate or anything like that. So I think that is important. Like just because I sell, I'm not going to dump the market. Like if I sold all my Bitcoin, maybe Bitcoin would move down a couple cents or $1 or something. Like no one's going to care.
I heard someone telling me, and I'm sure you get the same comment, but when I talk about Solana, there are some people in the Solana community that think for some reason, maybe it's not just Solana, but a lot of the altcoins, that we do the opposite of what we say. Like, because I know people believe that like we're not these two dudes that, you know, met on the internet and now we're nerds who talk about crypto on the internet. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I don't wake up in the morning and go, oh, Solana's looking nice. I want, like, what's the thought process? Sorry, I want Solana to go down, so I'm gonna say that I'm buying it because I'm actually dumping it, or like we like make these whole videos, but we're actually doing the exact opposite. Like we're literally doing this, guys. This is what we do. Like we're just talking about it. We just happen to be recording the video.
Yeah, and it's not like we have $100 million in Solana to try to go leverage short it to then dump the market or something. Like we're not playing any games like that. Like we're just like you, we're trying to figure out what's going to move up over the next couple months. So on that note, let's think about the next couple days. I do think it will be kind of a boring time over the next week or two. As much as I'd like it to be super exciting. Because at least in the US, we know US drives a lot of volume. We have the holidays with July 4 coming up. So I think that's next Thursday, Independence Day. So we're going to have a time where there aren't many institutions, there aren't a lot of whales in the US that are really paying attention to the crypto markets most likely. Now maybe that means that we have lower volume, and that means that, you know, if someone dumps a lot, that's going to cause the price to go down. But I feel like generally around US holidays, it is pretty boring. Like even in the traditional markets, I think do have an effect on crypto as well. They move, you know, in correlation to some extent. There's not much going on. Like there's not a bunch of news. There's not going to be a Fed speaking in the next week or anything like that. We do have PCE on Friday, so we do have some inflation data. We do have the debate as well. Biden and Trump are going to debate on Thursday night, so that should be entertaining.
Which could be good for the old political meme coins. Something.
Yeah. There's one that we both have a little bit of money into as well. Full disclosure, called FJB. So yeah, maybe that will do well. It's up like 50% today. But yeah, I think overall it will be kind of a boring time next week because that's the week of the 4th of July. But this week, maybe there's some exciting movements. I don't know. Overall, I feel like we've been moving around a bit, but we're still in the same range, right? We're still between 58K and 72K, back and forth. So I don't know. I think it's going to take some big piece of news, or I don't know, something macro that changes this range that we're stuck in. But yeah, I think that what we've seen before is just the summers, even in bull runs, are kind of boring. Like if you look back at 2021, I don't know what happened in 2020, but 2021 was when we fell down. There was the minor exodus from China, and then we just kind of putted around 30K, and then we went back up to 64K, 69K, whatever it was. So I wouldn't be surprised to see that same thing happen. And then in the fall, we start moving up pretty significantly. Although I don't hope that happens because I'd love some volatility. It's way more interesting. It's way more fun when there's news. And who knows? As soon as we think it's only going to be boring, usually something happens. So it will be interesting to watch, but that's kind of my viewpoint on it now.
All right. Sounds great, man. Well, thank you for stopping by. Hopefully we do. I want to break all-time highs very soon because I'm impatient, but I guess only time will tell. If anyone wants to follow Sam, I don't know why you'd want to, but if you do, there's a link out there in the description. And yeah, thank you for stopping by.
Yeah,
Peace.
thanks for having me. Bye.